It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
Hodge, Mooney, and McLeod to the left. Snap to Cousins. Off the 11 after the loss of 2. Kirk throws. Oh, my heavens. Wide open. Ray McLeod. Touchdown, Atlanta.
3 receivers left, 1 right. Joe has the ball. Looking left. Throws. Caught by Gesicki. Wow. He's at the 20. Middle of the field, 10. 5. Touchdown.
Wow.
47 yards. Touchdown pass. Number 5 for Joe Burrow.
Geno Smith hits his back foot. He has to leave the pocket. Throws to the end zone. Intercepted and brought out. 10, 20, down the right sideline. Cutting inside midfield. It's Cam Kitchens all the way back with a flag down. 10-5. Touchdown LA.
Lamar fakes the delayed handoff. Now he fires down the middle. He's got a man wide open. That's Zay Flowers at the 30-yard line. Breaks a tackle. He's to the 20. Flowers to the 10. 5. Touchdown! Zay Flowers. Oh, what a catch. Forget the field goal. They got the end zone.
Goff out of the gun. Gibbs to his right. Jerry takes the snap. Hands to Jameer. There he goes. Inside the 10. Inside the 5. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. They just parted the seas and Jameer ran to the daylight. Touchdown, and the Lions extend their lead.
2nd and 11 from the Colts 14. Jones the single set. Addison in motion to the right. Play action from under center. Darnold to the end zone. Touchdown! Josh Oliver with a touchdown.
Highlights from around the NFL. The Detroit Lions win the big showdown in Green Bay. Jordan Love not practicing, clearly wasn't sharp. The weather was lousy, and when Detroit got the lead, they just kept running the ball, PK. 7-1. You got them head and shoulders above the rest of the NFC, or?
Head and shoulders, man. You're going dandruff, huh? Yes. They're the best right now. They've proven it to this point.
I feel like we're all sleeping on the Philadelphia Eagles. They got a nice little win streak going here. And they had a couple early losses, but they're 6-2. Falcons and Bucks took them down early on, but they rattled off 4 in a row, and they beat Jacksonville 28-23. So they've been good before. They got a quarterback.
Why would we be sleeping on them? This is what they do.
Yeah. Just feels like nobody's talking about them.
That's what they do in the postseason. Don't call yourself a nobody.
They are trailing Washington by a half game. Washington 7-2, Philly 6-2. Washington hasn't had their bye yet. Commanders beat the Giants 27-22. Washington's off to their best start since 1996. Jaden Daniels is lighting it up. New owner, new coach, new quarterback, and a new set of results. Puka Nacua ejected through a punch. Rams win without him. Beat the Seahawks 26-20. A phenomenal one-handed catch in overtime to win the game. And the NFC West, the records are all mediocre. The Rams, after a 1-4 start, have won 3 in a row, so they're hanging in there right now. We'll see what they can do in the second half.
I didn't really think that was much of a punch.
It wasn't.
If he would have had his hand open, because they were jostling, and it wasn't like he reached back and just roundhoused it. It was up, and then he went. Kind of a smack. If he had an open hand, but when they were engaged with each other, you're going to be making a fist. But nevertheless, he said his emotions got the best of him, so he'll learn from it.
The Vikings had a rough stretch there, lost a couple of games after that 5-0 start, but Sunday Night Football, the defense plays well. They beat the Colts 21-13. Sam Darnold throws for 3 touchdowns. And Minnesota looks like they're getting it together again. And they're hanging out just a game behind the Lions in the NFC North. The Dallas Cowboys continue to fall apart. 3 straight losses. Dak Prescott left with a hamstring injury. Kirk Cousins, 3 touchdown passes. And Tyler Algier, the former Cougar, scored. Falcons get the win, and they lead the NFC South. Looking good. at 6-3. Monday Night Football, the Bucs and the Chiefs, 6:15 tonight. And for the teams that are struggling, well, the Raiders, they lost most of their offensive staff. The line coach, the quarterback coach, and most importantly, the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. Raiders firing all three. They're off to a 2-7 start.
Good.
Lost 5 in a row. I thought of that. When I heard that, I thought, aha, the former ASU Sun Devil is struggling in the desert.
No. He's a former U of A Wildcat.
Aha!
That's where he played.
Who came to Tempe and wrecked things.
But he's gone. Life is good.
Yeah.
May he have nothing but struggles the rest of the way.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Will Howard with a snap, fakes a pitch to Henderson, looks and he crosses left side where it's caught and the receiver goes chugging down the field. Innes into the end zone for a touchdown. Brandon Innes on a 21-yard touchdown pass play.
Back to throw. Gabriel steps up, gonna run. Got a block. 10, 5, Dylan Gabriel. Touchdown, Oregon.
Snap to Brooks, right side. Touchdown, Red Raiders. Taj Brooks gets the corner on the right side, and the Red Raiders have the lead.
Sanford stays in at running back. Fake the handoff to him, keep it himself. Zion Chris up the middle, into the secondary. He's going to score. 10-5, touchdown, Houston. Zion Chris takes it 41 yards, and the Cougars are on top with 2.5 minutes left in the ballgame.
First down 10, SMU from their 29, right hash. They go right to left, and Brashard Smith has a handoff, big hole, bounces out left, 35-40, off to the races. Brashard to the 40, Brashard to the 30, has one man to beat, to the 20, to the 10, touchdown!
Highlights from a wild day of college football. The Cougars, the Utes, the Aggies all had the weekend off, but there was plenty going on. The Big 12 race, we were talking about the opportunity for Texas Tech to go in and upset 11th-ranked Iowa State, and they did it 23-22. We did not talk about Houston's opportunity to upset Kansas State, but they did it 24-19. Two big L's for teams at the top of the Big 12 race. If you are BYU right now,
which I am,
the path to Arlington and a Big 12 title game is wide open.
Yeah, I think it was still open.
It was open, but it's wider open.
Not sure about that, man, because the task for the Cougars has not changed, as we say, one iota. It is the exact same today as it was 48 hours ago.
And what is the plural of iota? Because we never use it. It has not changed 7 iotas, said no one ever.
So what happened on paper seems to benefit, but if they don't do what they need to do, then it doesn't matter.
That's a fact. But now they don't need to do quite as much. But college football is crazy. They could still mess it up and not go.
I just think of a couple years back on that Saturday after Thanksgiving when the Utes needed 4 things.
And they happened. And they all happened.
Yes. So it's a nutso league. It's a lot of fun. I'm loving this league. Every prediction I make is probably going to be wrong. And there's no way I thought Kansas State was the best team in the league. And then they lose, so they're not. And now they need a lot of help to get there. The Cougars continue to defy. You got Colorado. If it's a horse race, you got to look over your right because they're coming up on the outside and they need to be respected a great deal. I think that's probably about it.
Oh, it's still 4 teams, right? Or is it 3? You don't even need K-State at this point. There's a bunch
I don't rule them out, but they're 4th.
There's a bunch of 2-loss teams that if BYU were to split their last 4, the door opens. K-State can beat Iowa State, give them a second loss.
4.
Yes.
So yeah.
All the crazy tiebreakers depending on which team stay on 2 losses, because obviously some of the 2-loss teams are going to get beat.
Yeah. So for the Cougars, I wouldn't even have paid one bit of attention to what happened Saturday because it changes nothing for you.
Your Devils are going to have a big voice here down the stretch. They get to play BYU. They also get to play K-State, one of the teams looming in that 2-loss group with ASU. They're big games everywhere you turn.
Yeah, the quarterback comes back and they have a nice win, and there's like a 3-hour weather delay, was funky, and then they came out and just dominated. Scatabooyah, just an incredible play. You've really got to give it to him. Now, he suffered a shoulder injury there, and they're not talking about it because at the end of the game, when the game was still going on, he did not have his uniform on. His pads were taken off, and obviously he's a significant factor of that offense, so we shall see what's up with that.
Elsewhere, undefeated's going down. Pitt went to SMU and got blown out 48-25. SMU rolls.
I can tell you through conversations as recently as a couple days ago that most, if not all, of the BYU coaches, because it didn't poll all of them, but I did have conversations, that they really believe SMU is without question the best team that they've played.
Stands to reason when you look at the offensive performance, that is an outlier versus all the other games.
The difference is they rotated quarterbacks back then, and they hadn't. How would it be if they played him now? They didn't.
Right.
They hadn't settled on Jennings, and then he's their man, and he's good, and they're good, and they're really good.
Their only losses to the Cougars, and they give Pitt their first loss of the year. Ohio State gave Penn State the Nittany Lions' first loss of the year, 20-13. Penn State's offense really stifled in that game. The Ohio State defense got on that plane going home feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, so with as much money as they make, they probably had all individual charter planes.
Nah. The SEC race wide open. South Carolina upsetting Texas A&M. So what's going to happen there now?
I don't know. I don't even really care.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Right now, our biggest focus offensively has to be taking care of the ball. And it's everybody. It's not one person. If you look at the box score, on our bench, everybody that played, with the exception of Patty, had 2 or more turnovers. So it's not like it's one guy with 8 of them. We play a style where the ball moves around, and everybody has to value the ball when they have it. But as usual, we're going to try to cling to the positives from this game and try to build on those. And we're going to, watch some film before the game against Chicago and try to clean up some of the mistakes on offense that are putting us in a bad spot in transition defense.
That's Jazz coach Will Hardy. The Jazz are now 0-6 after getting blown out in Denver, 129-103. The turnovers, more than 20 of them. Always going to be a problem when you get up into those numbers. 22, as it turns out. Sexton led the way with 4. Silver lining, Walker Kessler, hitting your goals, hitting your numbers. 18 points, 14 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, and he blocked 5 shots. So if you're looking for someone to take a step forward in his 3rd year, Kessler's had a couple of these games here through the first 6. But 0-6, and the losses keep piling up.
If they had 10 turnovers, were they going to win?
Probably not.
5 turnovers, were they going to win? No.
Yes, 5 they would have won.
They would
have. It would have been a W.
And I want to get excited about Kessler, but Locke has come on for years and says somebody has to put up stats on losing teams.
Yep, it's true.
So what does it mean? I mean, he put up stats his first year, and the management poo-pooed it.
Yes.
Said it was against a bunch of guys that aren't very good. So, and obviously Jokic is good.
Right.
But what does it mean? Then I fall back to Locke. Somebody scores and somebody rebounds on crappy teams. Are they as good as their numbers? Because somebody's got to get numbers. So either way, I don't know what to think. What does it mean? I mean, I know we want to be positive here.
Yes.
But that's your job. Over here, I just go by what they told me. I'm not making any of this up. This is what they said.
I think that usually goes to the scoring numbers. And I think that when you see the rebounding and the block shots, I think there's something real there. And honestly, the way he scores, that could be real, but there isn't a guarantee until he's trying to do it for pressure shots, a good team. But he's got a lot of stuff around the rim and dunks. I don't think that's going to change as much.
Well, that's how
guys who are out there,
He's not
right?
Going to do sky hooks or 20-footers.
I know, but I think that's more real. The guys who are out there hitting threes and that, when there's no pressure on, that really can't change when the team gets better. At least there's hope. If he's putting up no numbers, you'd be worried.
But if he's your best player, how good are you?
Well, clearly they need better players. And they played again without marking it. So
we'll get used to that.
Right?
I already am.
Jazz and the Bulls tonight, 6:30 on The Zone. Jake Scott, Tim Lacombe, pregame at 5:30. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Dallas Mavericks, no problem. They annihilate Orlando 108-85. Light day in the NBA, but if you're looking at the race to the bottom, Detroit did win game number 2. They beat the Nets 106-92. So Detroit figures to be one of the really bad teams in the league, but hey, they picked up a second win while the Jazz have none. Milwaukee and Philly are sitting on 1 wins. Everybody else has 2. The Jazz on 0, Philly and Milwaukee on 1. You would think those 2 would get going at some point. Joel Embiid shouted at and then shoved Philadelphia Inquirer columnist Marcus Hayes in the locker room Saturday night after he took exception to what Hayes wrote about Embiid, referenced Embiid and a child that passed away, and was that a brother passed away, and was that going to motivate him? And it was going to, and then he needed to play better, and Embiid took exception. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
College season starts tonight, PK. Utah hosting Alcorn State. Alcorn State coming through, picking up checks. They'll be up at Utah State on Wednesday. Weber State hosting a school, Northwest Indian. I've never heard of them. SUU's hosting Western New Mexico. UVU hosting Western Colorado. Give me some directional schools. Utah Tech picking up a check at Oregon State. Basketball starting earlier than ever, it seems. Interested in any of these games? It's all about Mahomes and Monday Night Football, and we'll pick up college hoops later.
Are you interested in any of these games?
I am not interested in any of these games.
Then why would I be?
I don't know.
You're all things to all people. I'm nobody to everybody.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Yankees ace Garrett Cole has opted out of his deal. The team facing a deadline this afternoon to invalidate his opt-out and guarantee him 5 years and $180 million that remain on the deal.
So he'll get another $36 million, as if that's going to make a difference in his life. But that's what he's going to get. Yeah, these guys, wow.
Golden Glove Awards. Kansas City Royals star Bobby Witt Jr. gets his first Golden Glove. They get a little undersold.
I think it's Gold Glove.
Gold Glove.
Golden Glove.
Golden Gloves would be boxing. Mixing my sports.
As a former Gold Glove winner myself.
There it is, third base. How many errors? 3?
3 in 55 chances.
That a kid.
One of which was a Baltimore chopper when I was playing Moon Valley, and their field faces west, so it was directly in the sun. You know, in all professional baseball, your parks have to face east or southeast. They cannot face west. And that one did, and it was right in the sun. So I kind of got gypped. But on senior day, since we had a plethora of seniors, I had to go in left field because the backup was a senior, and he got the start that day. And I did make an error in left field, but they didn't hold that against me because that wasn't my position.
Good.
So it sort of ironed itself, evens itself out, you know.
DJ PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Son Ben-Young sends Minnesota to L.A. for a second-round matchup and sends Real Salt Lake home. RSL eliminated on penalties in the playoffs in the first round for the third straight year.
RSL season ends in Minnesota. The drama of penalties goes against them again.
What's wrong with you guys? Why can't you kick penalty kicks?
Oh, only Chicho can, apparently. Everybody else was a combined 3 of 8, which is really low.
You didn't tell me why they can't do it. You gave me facts.
I have no idea why they can't do it. All I can assume is that it's mental, that the pressure is too much. You got an undefended kick from 12 yards away. You got to be way better than 37.5%.
They had a bunch of puppies out there, not dogs.
Spraying the ball all over the place.
I feel bad. You can tell you're down.
Now, what happens in the offseason? Who stays? Who goes? The last transfer window turned the roster upside down.
Yeah, I think that was
Expecting
part
more
of it.
now.
You know? I mean, they too much change. And I was worried about this because, I looked at Minnesota, man, and they were rolling going into this thing.
Big time.
They had
were
all
on
the
fire.
momentum. The other guys here, our guys, I don't even know if they knew each other's names that well.
Minnesota had a stretch where they did not have their starting goalkeeper, and they were brutal. 2 points over 8 games without their starting goalkeeper. That was the only reason they were down at the 6th seed in the first place. And your point, they had an unbeaten streak, which so did RSL coming into the playoffs. It's a tough matchup, but at some point, you got to win on penalties. And RSL hasn't figured that out yet. And it would have helped if they weren't offside on 2 goals in the second half. I mean, got to keep an eye on the guys around you and step with the defenders. But they didn't, so the 2 goals got waved off, and they ended up having to go to penalties. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
It's Mark Stone, one of the league leaders in scoring onto the sheet. He's out there with Hannafin. Now it's Howden carving in on the backhand, scores! Brett Howden wins it in overtime for Vegas. 4-3 the final.
Utah Hockey Club rallied to force overtime, picks up a point, but still loses to the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. But still a winning record, 5-4 with the 3 overtime losses, and they're sitting in 4th place in their division. The road trip continues, 4 in a row here on the road. Up next, the team that's off to the best start in the National Hockey League, the Winnipeg Jets. 11-1, 22 points in 12 games. They're flying. Puck drop north of the border set for 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And the Utah Hockey Club will be back in action against the Jets. That is what is trending, brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Nate Dreiling, Utah State interim football coach, is going to join us on the other side of this break. Darius Lassiter, BYU wide receiver, talking rivalry game at 8 o'clock. Karenni Reed talking rivalry game at 9:30. We'll talk with the linebacker. And another great moment in rivalry game history coming up at 8:50. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.